using a first-level spell. My DM teased me constantly for keeping the spell on my PC, then banned me from using it because the spell ended the campaign 30 sessions early. My party belonged to a group of special agents of the Sunlight Empire who fought in secret against the Black Judge. I won't go into details, but basically a power-hungry genius maniac with a world savior complex. You know, the usual. She was the BBEG we were supposed to face off against way later into the campaign. I figure my DM had some huge plot twist planned, but I digress. Our empire had just fought another huge battle against the armies of the Black Judge. We clearly were supposed to have the upper hand, yet took a devastating blow. Turns out we were betrayed and fed false information. Powerful enemy generals, who weren't supposed to be there, turned up. The enemy's troops were way bigger. Our secret weapon was sabotaged, and we rolled pretty bad. Needless to say, half of our troops were wiped out, the other half badly injured or permanently disabled, and many taken prisoner. The enemy's army went to celebrate their victory. Here comes our party into play. To at least salvage something useful out of this mess, a unit of around 50 secret agents, including us, stationed in a forest close to an empty camp. We decided to kidnap one of the higher-ranking officers for interrogation. Their huge feast was the perfect opportunity, but still very dangerous, mind you. Almost 3,000 armored, skilled enemy troops, who would tear us apart if they noticed us. My party managed to sneak in barely, with some clever usage of an ever-smoking bottle, silent casting firebolt, disguised self, a bag of holding filled with a bunch of old crates, and telekinetic feet. Disguised in enemy attire, we slipped into the enemy camp. We spotted our target and were planning to slip a bunch of alchemical crafted ingestible sleeping powder. Homebrew item for our secret agents. Bit too powerful as it had no DC check, which my friend had enhanced to mix well with alcohol. Had way too much in our bag of holding, because you need to only add a pinch to put an owlbear to sleep for 2 days. Still disguised, we crept closer and planned to slip some into his drink, then helping the drunk officer to his quarters. But because the DM wants to make everything hard on us, suddenly the freaking BBEG turned up at the feast. Yes, the Black Judge herself joined the celebration. After our last short confrontation with her, we were now scared shitless. Wanting to reward her troops, she brought expensive food and liquor in the form of a gigantic pig, and I mean gigantic, and an even larger golden barrel filled with her favorite drink. She sat at the same table with the rest of the officers, along with her many bodyguards. She didn't recognize us, but now getting close and adding something into the officer's drink was not possible. Still, we didn't give up. Okay, first of all, in my defense, the plan wasn't mine, but the bard's. Secondly, in my opinion, the DM brought this upon himself. There was no reason for the BBEG to turn up there. The homebrew items were the DM's invention, and he really shouldn't have made fun of me for keeping the command spell around. Our party leaves the massive tent and unsuspiciously gets closer to the pig in the barrel, which wasn't hard, as everyone there was mesmerized by their size and wanted to get a look, a piece of the meat, and a cup of liquor. There's a whole line of enemy troops waiting to get a piece and a drink, but a bunch of persuasion throws get us to the very front. Thanks again, Bard. Our sorcerer went all in, burning through his spell slots like crazy. Subtle casting charm person to convince the person pouring the drinks that the BBEG commanded everyone to wait for her toast. Can you guess where this is going? Next, our sorcerer hunched down, so he was not visible to the rest of the people in line, and immediately another subtle casting, this time Dimension Door. He has our bag of holding on him. That's where we kept the excess of sleeping powder. He disappears. After a minute, he reappears face down in the dark shadow of an empty tent, eyes red and burning, breathing heavily and soaked with liquor. Our wizard tended to him and hit him with Silent Image. You do know where this is going now, right? Me, Paladin, and our bard re-enter the huge tent, making sure everyone got their drink and whoever hadn't should immediately get it. Finally, we brought a cup for each of the officers and even the bodyguards. I was really sweating at that point with the deception rolls, but guidance and the lucky feet kept me going. Still, the BBEG was a different matter. The Black Judge took her cup, but stared at me intensely, as if remembering something. All players were pale as hell at this point, and I panicked, I think, turned my back to her, and for some reason, despite being a shy person in real life, gave my best speech ever. A toast to all, and to victory for our fine troops. Something about drinking to distinguish right from wrong. I don't freaking know. I was just improvising at that point. I turn slightly and see her smiling. A creepy, calm smile, just waiting for me to keep making a fool out of myself. Insight check. She knows, the DM tells us. Everyone is staring at my paladin. Nobody is drinking. The bard has no idea what to do. I look frantically over my character sheet and then see it. That one freaking spell that I was keeping around, who knows why. I want to cast Command. The DM waves his hand but looks curious. He says I can, but if it's obvious every single person in this 3,000-man army will see because I'm in the spotlight. He asks what's the command, so I describe my actions. My paladin looks her in the eye and continues. So everyone, to our leader, to our savior, and to our army, today and forever to the powers of the Black Judge, we drink. And gulp down my own drugged drink as convincingly as possible. So when is the command word coming? My DM asked. I already said it out loud, I reply. My DM looked confused, so I raised an imaginary cup in my hand and quoted my character. Today and forever to the powers of the Black Judge, we. I stare at the entire table and wait. Finally, the DM murmurs, drink, drink, my God, okay, have it your way. I didn't notice, so I'll agree that nobody else notices. So, no counterspell from bodyguards? I ask hopefully. Nope, no counterspells. But our DM grins smugly, picks up a d20 and adds, not that it matters. He rolls. My spell save DC is 17 at that point. If he rolls anything above a 5, the BBEG resists. Cause her wisdom is beefed as hell. And he rolls a 5. I shit you not. I jumped up in excitement, throwing over the figures on the board. But my DM held up his hand. He says the BBEG knows it's a trick, so she has advantage and gets to roll again. Everyone at the table wanted to argue, but he said he has the final word, and we're going up against the BBEG here. He ignored our protests and simply rolled anyway. Nat 1. He sighs and puts his head in his hands for a long moment, while the rest of our friends are rooting and shouting. DM finally starts laughing too, and tells me that my shy little paladin halfling is right now being the most convincing party rocker in the world. Meanwhile, the BBEG's face goes pale. Her hand raises the cup against her will and she drinks the whole liquor in one go. Mind you, my paladin is barely standing, his head heavy from the drug he ingested first. But he holds out. Following the BBEG, literally everyone is drinking now. The army, the bodyguards, the officers. Heck, just for shits and giggles, our bard shrugged and drank too. Suddenly, the Black Judge slams her cup on the table and screams, "Seize him!" But everyone is too confused, and before they figure out what's happening, the first person falls. One soldier, another one, a bodyguard with a half-drawn sword. An officer falls headfirst onto the table. One by one like dominoes, everyone tumbles and falls asleep, our 2 PCs included. At that point, our rogue signals the secret agents stationed outside to seize this opportunity. They silently storm the tent and begin quickly tying up everyone one by one, while more help is on their way, because we were only 50 people. As more of our injured soldiers arrive, they help capture the rest, with almost no casualties. 3,000 people, captured alive. When my character woke up, almost every last enemy soldier was captured, including the BBEG. I don't know if it was just to spite us for capturing 3,000 soldiers alive, but the DM decided that there were too many prisoners, and too few Empire soldiers to keep them in line. So they would behead every 4 out of 5 Black Judge soldiers. Maybe just to make our party feel guilty, but honestly, we were too busy being hyped at our table about this total victory. It was crazy, but honestly, it would have never been possible if not for the genius plan and the party giving it their all. The command spell was nothing, if just the cherry on top. My DM is a good guy, and he's a good DM. A bit smug, rightfully so, but really great, and he's a great friend. We sometimes joke about this moment and quote my paladin when we bring drinks to a game. Despite the good laughs, I'm now eternally banned from using the command spell ever again, and I carry this ban like a badge of honor. I freaking love D&D, and I hope you had some fun listening to this. Easily my favorite part of this story is the fact that the DM tried to get out of the situation he put himself in. He rolled with the punches and let his players' plans happen. That's what it's all about. The improv, the quick thinking, and begrudgingly rewriting all of that planned campaign because of the spell command. Before we take our leave, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content every Tuesday.